In the meantime, the leadership of the Labour Party has rejected the outcome of Wednesday's judgment at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal after its petitions were dismissed by the Justice Haruna Samani-led panel. The development is coming a few hours after the judges threw out the petitions filed by LP lawyers, which the court said was clearly based on rhetoric. Some of the claims made by the petitioners include the nullification of the declaration of Tinubu as the winner of the election for failing to score 25% of the FCT, Tinubu's incompetence to contest the election following his forfeiture in the United States, and the failure of the Independent National Electoral Commission to transmit results to INEC election results viewers, amongst others. Now, New Central's correspondent, of course, Adeshawa Odushaga, is on the streets of Lagos to feel the pulse of the people regarding this latest court decision. Thank you so much for your time, Shawa. Shawa, if you can hear me well, let's go ahead. What are Lagosians actually saying concerning this particular verdict? All right, we'll connect with Shawa once we can, but we also have, of course, joining me to shed more light on this is a lawyer, Oladotun Hassan. Thank you so much for your time, Oladotun.
Pleasure to be on your program this morning. I'm highly honored. Thank you.
Let's get straight to it. What is your assessment of the court's ruling on the presidential election termed controversial in many quarters?
Well, we must give it to the judiciary for not being intimidated, not rejecting all sensationalization, and strictly abiding with the rule of law in the discharge of their duties. It is a well-commendable judgment. It goes to say that judiciary is still the hope of the common man, irrespective of intimidation. And we've seen it all. This is the height of intimidation to our judges, whereby their pictures, their phone numbers, their identities will be disclosed as a formation of threat. And they stand to be corrected, that everything that was laid before it was lacking in merit by the petitioners. And the judgment reflected the true will of Nigerians. 8 million votes voted, and there's nothing that can change that. And there's no amount of pressure can demystify the credibility of INEC to have discharged their duties. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. You must be a good loser in games of this nature. These are not desperation games that you must just look for every means to dampen democracy. And I must also comment, because I saw the reaction of the lawyers to the PDP and the Labour Party. It's quite unfortunate that our lawyers don't know that there are limitations to some issues, especially when you it's crystal clear that issue of FCT of 25% is a clear, decided case. You don't go redigging a case that has been decided. It is more or less, I'll call it a legal rascality. You don't just begin to push things on reckless motives, maybe because your client must just pay you and you just don't know their limitation. That's why I have to caution them. Our legal practitioner disciplinary committee must also come in to guide the process, because this is democracy. It's not military. So every issues are very sensitive. It's going to take a lot for the administration of President Bola Tinubu to begin to heal the land, because we are more divided on ethnic line, religious line, and considering the issues that were being brought on the table, the judiciary was very hard. And I must give it to them. So if they now are going to the Supreme Court, it's their will, but there's a limit to war. And that is the area I must equally call on President Bola Tinubu. He has thrown his olive branch. But however, the entire judgment was in line with what was brought before it.
All right,
now it's not a Father Christmas.
All right, now talking about reactions, sorry, Oladotun, I need to come in here. But talking about reactions, some have said that, I mean, the only place or the only aspect of this entire process that was publicly televised was what we saw yesterday. And that when the process started, right, people were not, I mean, the media wasn't allowed to sort of televise the process and allow Nigerians actually follow through to the very
No,
end.
let me tell
The
you
only
one
part
thing.
where we saw, or Nigerians saw, was the last part, which was the final verdict. And so, I mean, some are raising eyebrow to say eventually you came out with a result that we don't even know how you know, gone about it, because they were not carried along. And that's number one. And then I want you to react to that first, and then I'll ask the next.
You know, sincerely, let me tell you, my brother, there is what we call protection of the judiciary. Even in every matter, no matter how notorious a case is in court, you don't go there to film the judges. You don't go there to film the process, except their guiding principle. Election tribunal of this nature, the judges know the risk, even without them being filmed. There are pictures and everything. The Labour Party were too desperate to create a mob in the social media that will, at the end of the day, prejudice, even without the judgment being announced already. The Labour Party chairman, Apume, committed some infractions by announcing that Labour Party should be preparing for a rerun. It was as if even the campaign of the All Eyes on Judiciary was ill-motivated to push the judiciary against the public. So these all measures, for the fact that they are, well, we are free to understand, but their lawyers understand the drumbeat. They cannot claim ignorance of the law. And even a blind man, a layman, will understand for you to go to the court of that nature to go and adduce the issue of FCT. That is that to me, it shows a lack of legal discipline for you to understand that you don't bring such frivolities on the premise of allowing the court to now cement illegality. Nobody will give FCT a special status that the Nigerians that are in the FCT are more Nigerian than all of us in every state. FCT is just the 37th jersey of the country. Everyone carries their name. The hand there is a conjunctive word. Why will a layman not? Even English language is as simple on literal interpretation for a senior advocate to go and bring such, even when such matters have been decided upon, it shows lack of discipline. So
okay, now let's talk about the law itself, right?
The issue of media publication is not for any genuine reason, but to cause unnecessary evil. And even without that, we have seen how much measures that were being done to wreck the system. You can see within the 2 days, NLC that's supposed not to issue a warning strike, started a warning strike on the eve of election tribunal, meaning the NLC, which is a Labour Party inclined political structure, went to use their own structure to undermine the system, which is economic sabotage.
Olado, because of time,
some of the criminalities committed while all these things were going on, if you have to go into the details of this matter itself, Obi is culpable.
All right. Now, I mean, because of time, Olado, I need to ask you this, and I hope you answer, you know, as swiftly as possible. There are also, I mean, in terms of interpretation of the law, I mean, some would say that due to the ambiguity.
The canon of interpretation.
Yes, due to the ambiguity of some sections of the law. Maybe that's why you have a lot of this back and forth, you know, and, you know, interpretation being subject to, well, I call it a different, well, I call it a legal expertise, so to speak. Now, looking at some of the judgment, for instance, the FCT, the 25%, and also some parts, you know, that had to do with the president's past being struck out and all of that. Don't you also think, to a large extent, too, the law itself contradicts itself?
No. The law does not contradict itself in this matter. We know that there is a mischievous misinterpretation of the Constitution by some segment of the society in order to create the political imbalance. Just you and I can interpret English language in strict terms. What is the meaning of hand? Those are instructive, conjunctive word and shall. That is the FCT. In the combined interpretation of that law, in the same constitution and electoral law, presumes the view, and there are decided cases in Buhari's cases, in Obasanjo's case, and Yar'Adua's case about the issue of FCT. So we cannot, this is not the first matter of election petition Why would we now begin to hold it down? Oh, if you're, and this candidate, let me tell you, none of them were more on the issue of the voting. If it were to be voting, do you know how many infractions that were committed in the Southeast during the electionary period? Do you know how many infractions that we all saw? So even whereby the catchment area of Asiwaju, he lost most of his catchment areas. In the Southwest, he lost Lagos. FCT, which is more like a Lagos, he lost the place. So even his hometown in Osun State, he lost the place. So why are we now fighting over the fact that he won by 8 million? These are just strict winning. And you don't go and be beating a dead horse. To me, I just see it as a waste of the judiciary time when you know that he actually did not win the election. Atiku knew that he never won the election. Obi knew he never won the election. All right. Everybody scored their vote. If you cannot assume for the fact that we have 175,000 polling units and we are presenting less than 40,000 agents as from Labour Party, the PDP presented agents in all the polling units, meaning they had the coverage.
All right, thank you so much.
They are not even claiming that their mandate are being stolen. It's the people that scored third are going about with this kind of misinformation.
All right, thank you so much, Hassan. Yeah, thank you so much.
Are you with me?
Yes, I can hear you, but we need to go. Thank you so much for your time. Well, still, of course, taking reactions concerning yesterday's verdict in Nigeria. We have our correspondent on the streets of Lagos, actually feeling the pulse of Lagosians as regards yesterday's presidential tribunal verdict. Adeshawa Odushoga is on standby. Shawa, thank you so much for your time. Please, what's happening on the streets of Lagos right now?
That the reactions that we are getting on the streets of Lagos is not one that is not expected. You know for a fact that this election is one that is fiercely contested, quite controversial, and one of the one that has recorded the lowest turnout, for the lowest recorded number of victory for the sitting president. And as we have known it, the various supporters have waited for months for the outcome of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And we know yesterday was one of those days that were really much expected in the country. And then the outcome of the result, has caused diverse reactions in the minds of many people, especially here on the streets of Lagos, which is the home state and then the town of the sitting president of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu. Now I have someone here with me who is obviously a supporter of the All Progressives Congress and who is actually very excited about the result of the tribunal, who will be sharing his own view and his how he feels about the outcome of the tribunal. Good morning, Mr. Adeleke.
Yeah, good morning.
So can you tell me what's your own assessment of the tribunal?
Fantastic. For the fact in the history of Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, the yesterday judgment is one of the fantastic judgments I've ever witnessed in the history of Nigeria. And the 5 panels are awesome, and the way they interpreted a whole constitution and the way they gave verdict to everything they treated is just too awesome.
I can see that in the last 20 minutes that I've shared, that I've stayed here with you, you've been in a little bit of argument with the supporters of either the the PDP candidate and the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi. What have they been saying about the outcome of the election, the tribunal?
Some of them were just trying to raise what is not. They are just mimicking about the rumor that the judge collected 13 billion naira from the led government APC, which I have told them, actually we are not even arguing, we're discussing that there's no proof in their argument, in their deposition, that they collected 13 billion naira. If they have their proof, they should just come outside. Because the judgment did not only favor the APC, the judgment favor the other party. Where we have like 2 National Assembly that was being taken away from the APC and give it to the PDP candidates in Kogi State, to Dragan, if I may correct. They gave it to the national. They took it away from the APC and they gave it to PDP. So and I think that one favor PDP too. It's not as if the judgment only favor the APC. It favor all the parties. For example, the APC brought out a petition against the Labour that he wasn't really the candidate of the Labour Party, and the judgment struck it out, and they made us to realize that it's internal affairs. It's not a national affair. So they made it known to us that it's a very good verdict. So as far as I'm concerned, the judge made it clear to us, and they laid it on her that even the one the article brought out that they did not televise or did not. It's not. He said it's not constitutional. That televising or transmitting the live voting is not constitutional. So if INEC can use that discretion, and they don't use it, it's not something that we should be discussing about. So that is what I say about it.
Thank you so much, sir, for your honest review. So that's how much we have it. Although I have been trying to also talk to the supporters, especially for that of the Labour Party, Peter Obi candidacy, and then they are saying that they don't have anything to say to the media because they were not really satisfied with the result of the tribunal. They were still on the streets, still trying to get more reviews, more assessment of the tribunal. We also have somebody who would also like to speak to us, giving his own review of the result of the tribunal. Good morning. What's your name, sir?
My name is Felix Osaidia.
So can you tell us what's your assessment of the tribunal?
Well, the assessment of the tribunal was a prearranged judgment that does not reveal the true picture of what the people of Nigeria want. If I'm going to give an example, if this judgment was taken to America, you will see how they would dissect it one after the other. From what we saw yesterday was a prearranged judgment. So that judgment was not a justified judgment. If, like in the case of Kehinde Edun that was jailed in abroad, if it was in Nigeria, they will leave him. We see our judiciary are ridiculing themselves, and that is what is affecting us right now. And I want to say this, that I pray that the Supreme Court will not disorganize themselves or ridicule themselves, because from what I have seen, it's a script that has already been written down. We'll wait for the Supreme Court judgment. No problem. Okay.
So there we have it, Paul. We've been having diverse reviews, like I said earlier. A lot of people are for and against the results of the tribunal.
All right. Thank you so much, Shewa, for, of course, all of that reaction, and, of course, stay safe. Now, coming up on the news, murder weapon in South African singer AK's murder discovered. We have details of the story and more after the break.